Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of No Cookie Cutter Christian Podcast. Listen, today is our Valentine's Day episode, okay? Today we're talking about how he's just not that into you. Listen, first of all, y'all, pardon me. I forgot my little mic thing, so I'm gonna have to hold this the whole time. That's annoying, but here we are. Um, but pretty much this episode, I wanted to give some context to help women understand like when a man is not really into you. I think that sometimes, I talk to women and they're like, oh, well, he's this, he's that. I'm just like, girl, hang it up. Hang it up. That man is just not into you. But before we dive into the episode, I did want to say this, right? Um, and I just feel led to say this. This is not in my notes of what to talk about today, but I just want to say like women who are married, be honest in your journey to be with your husband. Be honest about how it was when y'all first started, because I think that um, you guys make it sound so perfect and you guys don't show your scars. You guys don't show what actually happened, even to the people nearest you sometimes. So sometimes people are left to feel like you guys had this perfect kind of get together when that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? When you guys had a lot of hurdles to jump over and all the things. Um, and so maybe you have experience as a wife, um, seasons where your husband just wasn't that into you and you had to be patient and you had to wait it out. And if that's what you felt like God had called you to do, then I want y'all to start sharing y'all stories. Even leave some messages in the comments and let me know how that worked out. And just give some of us single ladies hope. You know what I'm saying? Um, Me personally, child, we're about to go through some things, but I really feel like it's important to just be honest about your stories. But in any event, let's dive into the episode. So he's just not that into you. First of all, I got this title from the movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm a rom com girl, and I felt like that movie was so well put together. It was so no nonsense. It was so like, okay, you. It was black and white, kind of. You know what I mean? And so I feel like the first thing I want to say, now I didn't get these points from the movie, I got this from real life. First thing I want to say is if that man is inconsistent, right? There are times when I remember I was dating a guy and he was talking to multiple people, right? Me personally, that's not my vibe. I feel like I'm a whole lot of women and I don't know how you're able to juggle, but I feel like if you are dating somebody else in the beginning, cool, but I should never know about it in the sense of like, unless I ask, I should never know about it. If we're going out on dates, if we're just getting to know each other, you know, I shouldn't feel like I'm not getting the attention that I need and that I want from you because you're too stretched. And when I say that, I mean not like anxious attachment kind of attention where you want somebody to be there 24/7, not that, but if you take all day to text back, or if I text you one day and you don't respond for that whole day because now you on Susie's phone and you got to entertain Susie today because you entertained me yesterday. Absolutely not. I feel like if you can't juggle them, please hang it up. Okay. um so I feel like that sometimes allows a man to be inconsistent when they're like between women and trying to do a lot. um, I'm in my 30s, so I feel like, you know, it's not hard to tell when you meet somebody if you like them or not, or whatever the case is. But I feel like if you want to date multiple people, you have to know how to balance it. If you don't know how to balance it, then that's not your stilo. Unless, like, while you're getting to know somebody, you're getting to know somebody up until the point of being exclusive, and really saying, okay, we want to settle down and reel this in. In my experience, the men want to be exclusive for the most part from the gate. Okay, they don't want me telling nobody else, none of that, and I appreciate that, right? But realistically speaking, if you are just getting to know somebody, you're just going on dates. Okay, cool. I think no text back all day is crazy. I don't know. That's just me. Especially when you're trying to be intentional about your life and getting to know people. So yeah, that just causes people to be inconsistent. Um, I know sometimes people be like, "Oh, I'm working all day. I'm doing da da da." You are grown. Communicate. This is not for 18 and under. This content. Okay. So if you are at this big age, then you need to be like, okay, hey, I know I got a lot going on today. Like, can I just hit you back a little bit later, or I gotta hit you back tomorrow? Okay, cool. But no communication is diabolical. Okay. And I'll give grace to like maybe the first one, and I'll tell you about it. But if it keeps on happening, it keeps on being a thing. I don't know. The next thing is when a man is or woman is vague about the vision. Okay, meaning like they're vague about their intentions, right? And I'm talking about, let's say y'all are dating for like 3 months, and personally, that's my time frame to like have a clarity on what's happening, right? Because I think in the beginning you're just trying to get to know each other, but after like at 3 months, if that person doesn't know what they want to do, like okay, I see us getting to know each other more. I could actually see myself being with you, like all of those things. Then what are we doing here? If at that point a person doesn't want to be exclusive, then what are we doing here? You know. So when somebody doesn't really try to give you like a straight answer, when they're just kind of like, well, I don't know, like I just feel like we just getting to know each other, we just kicking it, kind of. Baby, kicking it is when you in your late teens, early 20s. That's kicking the time. After 25, the kicking the time is gone. Okay. And so I feel like that's how people end up in a lot of situationships as well, because they just have so much time of just um having a man or a woman be unclear. We don't want that. If they're unclear, it's a no. Okay. And one thing about me, I feel like if you're ever on the fence about me, I'm going to push you over to the other side, because I feel like I'm too dope of a person for you to be second guessing it. If you're second guessing it, you're not my person. Promise you are. Like, and I feel like everybody should feel that way about themselves, even for the men. Like, if somebody is second guessing you and you know what you bring to the table, you gotta move on. Okay. So number three, of he's just not that into you. These are ways to know. Number three is he talks about himself and doesn't ask you about you. This is one that people commonly miss. Sometimes men are around women because they're good listeners, right? They're good listeners, and they have so much to say. They want to be able to express themselves and all of that, and be with somebody that doesn't judge them and all those things like that. But if after you done poured out your heart, tell somebody what you got going on, you get off the phone and that's it, absolutely not. No ma'am and no sir. So I find that you have to just watch how somebody interacts with you. Watch how much they want to know about you. Watch how much they ask. And for me personally, it's one thing, like if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're asking me a question and I'm answering the question, but they're also giving their answer, okay, cool. Because it's a dialogue. It's not just you talking. You get what I'm saying? So look out for people, and I feel like women do this too. Like they'll talk, or whatever the case is, and they don't care nothing about how your day was, what you got going on, or whatever. I think even people who just pay attention to little stuff, and I'm not for ladies. Most of the times, men sometimes they're not that observant. You get what I'm saying? However, I feel like a man who is intentional about you will remember little things about you. It'll be like, oh, wait, you said you were doing this. How was that? Or whatever the case is. Because they want you to know that they know what you got going on. They want to make an impression. They want to impress you. If he don't, he's just not that into you. The fourth one is he doesn't care what you do. Men that care about you will check you and might even debate you on something when they feel like you're out of pocket. I am a witness. If a man ever really cares about you, you doing something that they feel like is out of pocket, you doing something that they feel like is not in your best interest, it's gonna bother them, because they're gonna be like, they don't want you to have any hurt, any harm, any nothing. So when you're doing something that makes them feel like this isn't going to work out well for her or whatever the case is, they are very protective of that and they will debate you down on that. If you tell a man that you're about to do something stupid or you tell them whatever you got going on, and they're like, I, no questions, no, wait, why did you know what I mean? Either he's just not that into you or he's not a good leader. And in either case, you would not want that for your life. And I say he's maybe not a good leader in those cases because if you tell somebody something who's supposed to care about you, who's supposed to be a covering, who is supposed to just do life with you and have your best interest at heart, at the very least, if you tell that person something and they just shrugs, okay, and it's something that is going to change and affect both of your lives or whatever, mm-mm. How is he gonna lead? And I'm not saying leading means that the burden is always on his back, because sometimes, truth be told, men go through seasons where they need to put that burden down and their wife has to carry it, and that's just a reality of life. So I'm not saying that he always has to have that burden, but I'm saying like he has to be interested in your life enough to care about if you're doing something that is not in your best interest. It just shows a lack of care, lack of concern. And in that case, he's just not that into you. You are not a priority. Um, you know, I think 20s and 30s is an interesting place because people are working, people are trying to get themselves together or whatever the case is. However, people will always make time for what they want to make time for. As much as somebody might say that they're busy, they will be they will do something else. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if somebody calls their phone and they're like, listen, you can make X amount of dollars on this day doing whatever the case is. The same time, that man will be like, oh, I'm busy on Thursday, I can't do none of that. When somebody calls them, listen, I got some money for you to make whatever the case is, all of a sudden schedule cleared. Schedule is cleared. Cause why? Because that's something that's a priority to him. That's something that's important to him. And I don't even think not only for money, I think that it goes for different people too, because let's say their family member calls them, their mom, their sister, whatever. I feel like if they call them and they're willing to just drop everything for what they got going on, but they don't help you in any way, shape, or form, he's just not that into you. I think even if, let's say, a man comes to your house and you got like furniture and stuff to put up, like you got, furniture boxes or whatever, and that man looks at those boxes and says nothing, that man don't care about you. He is on a mission. He's there for something, and that's it. That's all. Okay, because somebody who cares about you will be like, "Yo, do you need help putting that up? I'm gonna, hold you down, whatever." And I think that even your brother in Christ will do something like that. You get what I'm saying? Like people who just care for you, even on a platonic level, will want to see you have the help that you need. If that man is not doing that and making an extra effort, what are we doing? What are we doing? Um, lastly, if you are a secret, right? And so I believe in privacy, not secrecy, right? Privacy for me is that we people know that we date, the people that are in our circle, the people that know us, there is some kind of accountability in our lives. um People know about us when it gets to that level, right? Because when you first start dating somebody, first like 1 to 3 months, no, nobody have to know for real. But after that, and you are exclusive with somebody and somebody's really taking you seriously, their people should know that y'all are dating. Your people should know that y'all are dating, right? But they don't need to know every detail of your business. For me, that's privacy. Secrecy is nobody knows that you're dating. Nobody knows your business. You can barely follow each other on social media. For me personally, I feel like the next person that you see on a post of mine, like if I post it, because it's going to have to be, if y'all ever know somebody who I'm dating in the moment that I'm dating them, it would be because somebody else took a picture or something. It would never be because I posted it. It would never be because they posted it. I don't believe that. I think that I am not big on sharing who my person is on social media until that person is here to stay. Because I think that dating is literally you gathering data, you just getting to know somebody. So what's the point of, you know, everybody knowing what you got going on? And sometimes like just like take that moment to yourself and see what you got going on without people's opinions, without whatever. You get what I'm saying? You get to make that decision for yourself. For me, I feel like y'all gonna know who my husband is when that time comes. But outside of that, I don't feel like I want nobody to know what I got going on. So I don't mind somebody saying that they don't want to post me on social media because I'm not posting you on social media. I don't mind somebody not wanting people in our business after a certain point in the relationship, right? But what I do mind is that everything is hush hush, secret, secret, like nobody knows we together. Because what are we doing? What are we doing? And I feel like that's a big difference. And so I feel like when he doesn't want to show you off, and that's a thing for men. Men love to have women who look great by their side. They love to have women um who they can brag about in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like they love to be able to show off their girl and be like, yeah, that's me. That's who I got. That's what I got going on. And so if he doesn't want to do that, like even to his inner circle, I'm not talking about to the whole world, but in his inner circle, it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Um, and so yeah, I feel like for all those reasons, um, he might just not be into you for real. So here are ways to know that he is in fact into you, right? And so ways to know that he's into you is that he sets his intention from the gate. When he's with you, he's not trying to play. He's not trying to have you feel like he's playing. He wants you to be clear on what y'all got going on. So that will sound like, hey, I'm dating for marriage, or I'm trying to settle down. I want to have kids. I like those things. You know what I mean? It has to be those conversations. And here's the cheat code to that. A man could tell you anything that they want. And a woman could tell you anything that they want because listen, the women are out here running through these streets as well. Okay. So you have to make sure that the words line up with the actions, So hear what somebody is saying and then watch what they do because that's the most important thing. Somebody could love bomb you all day long, but their actions don't lie. The words might, but the actions are not. So make sure that when he sets his intention, that there's some kind of follow through with that, right? And so if he's saying that he's looking to settle down, is he trying to date multiple people within like after 6 months of y'all dating? Is he you know after a year, like are you still at the same spot where you don't know if you're a girlfriend, you don't know um if y'all are getting engaged, like just what are we doing? Okay. Um, so a way to know is that he sets his intention. Um, Another thing that men do is they make time for you. I'll always say people make time for what they want to make time for. And so if he is in fact into you, he is going to make time for you. And although the caveat and nuance here is that it might not always be the time that you want. Let's say you might want like 4 hours of somebody's time. Depending on what they have going on, you have to give them grace where they said that they can make it for 2 hours, or I can't make it today. Let's link up tomorrow. Or I can see you. We're on Tuesday and I can't see you till the weekend. Like learn how to give people grace depending on the circumstance, right? If somebody's in their bag, if somebody's, got stuff going on, um, you have to learn to be mindful of that. Of course, it can't be drastic. You know what I'm saying? 2 weeks you don't see somebody unless they're a trucker. What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like people make time for what they want to make time for. And In that, let me say this, and this is for the men as well. Every day does not have to be glamorous. Okay. Um, I think so many times men make their decisions and have their ideals based on what they see on social media and just on podcasts and things like that. And honestly, most of the people with a mic are not the people who are God fearing women that mostly be in the house, that just wants to chill. Like the ones who are the loudest are usually the ones that are outside and all the things, right? There are women who don't mind coffee dates. And ladies, y'all can let me know, in the comments. Tell me if I'm lying or not. We do coffee dates, we do walk in the parks, we do ice cream or whatever the case is. Now don't get it twisted. Don't be cheap all the time. You understand? Because really and truly it's not about how much money you spend, it's about the time and the quality time that you have with somebody. Um, but there are times when you do the dinners or whatever. I think first date should be a really nice dinner. I think birthdays, holidays, if you do Valentine's, whatever, like those things should be a really nice setup. Um, but on your regular time, going to watch a movie, going for a walk in the park, getting some ice cream, getting you some acai bowl, going to a cute little coffee shop or a little Barnes and Noble, get y'all some books. Like, you know what I mean? There's just so many things to do without it being expensive or a thing. It's just the effort that a man makes to be able to spend with you and, to kind of join you into things that you like and vice versa, right? And so he makes time for you, and that time doesn't always have to be they spending $300 on dinner every night. That's not what we need. Okay. Um, he is consistent. That's how you know he's into you. If that man is consistent, he's hitting you up, he's seeing what you got going on because he cannot he does not want too much time to go by without hearing your voice. He's like doing what he got to do, but in the middle of it, he's thinking about you and he wants you to know. You get what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Here's a little funny story. I was dating somebody at one point, and I found out throughout the course of us dating that they set reminders in like auto text to text me at certain times of the day and see how my day was going. I hate that. I absolutely hated it. And the reason is because, okay, you want to be intentional, but I feel like you're trying to make me feel like you're thinking about me and you're not thinking about me. In that moment, if you're not thinking about me, don't hit me up. Why are you setting auto messages to say, hey, like, I don't know, I find that odd. But y'all can tell me what y'all think. But when I say be consistent, I mean just like check in on a daily basis. Every conversation doesn't have to be an hour, 2 hour long conversation. But check in, give 10 minutes, like, text or whatever. And one pet peeve I have is like, which I'm working on honestly, because people have lives. Um, one of my pet peeves used to be somebody taking a lot of time to respond. I just feel like why? So usually if somebody texts me, I want like 5 strong minutes of just like texting back and forth. Let's get to the point, whatever. If you're busy, let's make it an hour of a little back and forth. I'm not trying to text all day, like back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's have a period of time we text and then we stop. Later on, you could call me or whatever, but I cannot, like, I don't want to look at my phone all day to see if you text me back from morning. No. But I'm working on it and I'm trying to give grace in that scenario because the truth is, depending on somebody's life, people be having stuff going on. But all I'm saying is just having some kind of consistent wanting to see you, wanting to take you out, wanting to hear your voice and things like that. Another way you know he's into you is problem solving, and this is a big one. I feel like I've never met a man that did not want to solve my problems. I have not. That's one thing about it. Anybody that I've ever dated, if I said I had a problem, they were coming up with solutions, And I find that if you tell a man that you have a problem and they're like, oh, or they just are not interested, I feel like run for the hills, because immediately that tells me that you don't care about nothing I got going on, and you straight, like you chilling, like you're not there. You get what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like that with somebody that they're not really feeling, and they'll go over to somebody that they're feeling and be Bob the Builder. Whatever problems they got, whatever they need, they're out there doing it. So don't let nobody do that to you. What they said, don't let nobody treat you like a yellow Starburst. Is that the Starburst color that nobody likes? But yeah, that. Um, Another way to know if he's into you is that he cares to know about your plans and where you see yourself. One thing about it is when you speak to grown men, emphasis on grown, they have goals, they have plans, they have an idea of where they see themselves. So a lot of the times they're trying to figure out, do you mesh with where I'm trying to see myself? Do we align, right? And I think alignment is where grown men, just be trying to see themselves like, okay, for a lot of men it'd be like, how is she? Is she kind? Does she cook? Does she mind cleaning? Is she nurturing? Like things like that. Um, so they want to know, do you see yourself be married? Do you see yourself with kids? Um, just like those kind of questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see yourself working all the time? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? They're trying to figure out who they need to be to come into your life and be that for you. You know? And so if he is asking you about your plans, trying to see where you at, he's into you. Um and lastly, if something bothers you, they want to resolve it. Meaning, like, if y'all have a disagreement and something you told them like, hey, I really didn't like when you raised your voice at me. And they start to be like, you know what? I was wrong, or whatever the case is. Like, I that's just how I talk. This is how I always talk. But since that made you uncomfortable, I'm gonna try to tone it down a little bit. Like, just being able to have open conversations. You know what I mean? I think any healthy relationship, when you go through things and you are not, what's the word? When you go through things and y'all are healthy and in like a whole healed place, I think that you learn to find solutions. You know what I'm saying? Um, Me personally, I feel like I feel like I was a runner and a track star in learning how to find solutions, which brings me to my bonus, right? So in the beginning, I was talking about like married women, you know, telling the ones who are dating what to look for and some nuances, right? Um, I think sometimes people just get married because they're thirsty and they don't really count the cost. They don't really ask the right questions. They feel like somebody proposed, they get married, that's it, right? I knew personally that I did not want that. I know I wanted my life to be as aligned as possible. But what I've realized is that um, I've realized that, that scripture, I think it's in Ephesians, where it talks about um, husbands of your wives as Christ loved the church, um, and gave himself for her. That way he may sanctify her, or whatever the case is. You don't get to sanctification unless there is some level of friction. You need alignment and not a twin, right? So when you are dating, sometimes you are aligned with somebody on the big things, but there are some things that are a little off. And this is how God makes us holy, is that friction of, even like, I feel like when it comes to God and us, is the friction of like conviction in our spirits, that we feel like, okay, we know we're not doing the right thing. And when it comes to a man and a woman getting together, it's that friction of, um, this is how one person sees it, this is how the other person sees it, and we're locked in, so we have no other choice but to figure this out. So it leads you to pray, it leads you to be in your word a little bit more. You get what I'm saying? And so I say that to say that we don't get a twin in marriage. if you are very blessed, if you and your husband or wife see eye to eye on a lot of things, because sometimes it's just the big things. Sometimes it's the things that how do I put it? Sometimes it's just the things there's sometimes just there are nuances to um how you guys believe, especially as Christians, right? And so I'm learning to not be a runner myself. And I know personally, I feel like, I've always said I'm not looking for perfection, but I think I kind of was. And so I think I wanted to do this episode because a lot of the times we miss the signs of somebody not really being interested. Um, and in my talking to different women, I've seen that. But I think for me, when a man is interested, it's just like, okay, what um what are the nuances to this relationship? What can I deal with? What are my deal breakers? What are my non-negotiables? Um, and I'm gonna have something for y'all on that real soon. Real soon. Something to help y'all. Okay. Because it has definitely helped me. And I wanted to share a story lastly about a video that I saw on social media. And it was this guy talking about how much he loved his wife, and that like his wife is so for him because he was like 10 minutes away from home and he was stuck in traffic, and his wife walked 30 minutes to bring him some food because he told her he's annoyed in the car, he's hungry, and he's been in traffic for 4 hours. Um, I don't know if it was an accident or snow or whatever the case is, but it was snow on the ground, and the wife walked in the snow to bring him some food. Ladies, here's my cheat code. Because I know I was telling y'all, like, oh, how to know the men are into you or whatever the case is. When you get that man and he's into you and that man is really feeling you, and let's say y'all locked in, y'all get married or whatever the case is, there are certain things that you're going to be able to do for that man that they will never forget. Like, you know your man and you know what makes them tick. You know what makes them happy. You know what they value, you know? And so you have to do your part. This story with this woman bringing her man food, he will never forget that for the rest of his days. And anytime he, let's say, thinks about stepping out, anytime he thinks about, he looks at somebody else's wife and starts to compare, he will remember that moment and he'll be like, you know what? She not gonna bring me food in the snow. This other person is not gonna do this, that, and the third. Or my wife is so thorough because this is what she did. You get what I'm saying? And so there are ways in your relationship to store up equity, for lack of a better word, to store up equity in your relationship that when times get hard, you can look back at those times and be like, yo, it don't matter. This man is for me. This woman is for me. She loved me, and I'm in it to the long haul. God knows. Let me tell you something. I've already been very clear at this stage in my life where um, when I think about marriage, it's death row. Ain't no leaving. Okay, there's one way out. You signed up for this. There's one way out. You want to get out, you have to die. So what do you want to do? Period, point blank. And so that's my Valentine's Day episode, guys. I am excited. I am tired. I'm working on a lot right now. Um, but I'm excited to bring different things to you guys. I feel like the Lord is causing me to switch up my content. I feel like I'm going to be talking a lot more about dating and marriage and singleness and all the things. Um, and this is never the topics that I want to talk about as far as dating is concerned. I've always just felt like there's so much in Christ to talk about. I don't want to be stuck on dating and relationships. And God had to change my mind about that because He was just like, This is not only about dating, it's not only about relationships, this is about bloodlines coming together. This is about new alliances being formed in the kingdom. This is about pushing the kingdom forward when the right people comes together. Um, and so it's a really big deal. Like who you marry can you marry well, it can take you up and, you know, do some real damage to the kingdom and just save your bloodline in some senses. And other times, who you marry could drag you all the way down to hell. Okay. So I'll be talking more about relationships and all the things. And I cannot wait to be back with another episode for y'all. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.